Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome back to Everything Within podcast. I'm your host, Alina Krasnojon. This podcast is all about empowering you to build an extraordinary, fulfilling life and tap into the limitless potential that resides within you. Thank you for tuning in today. Have you ever planned your entire day perfectly, only to find yourself staring at a screen, unable to write a single word and concentrate? Or perhaps you blocked out 3 hours for that important project, but spent most of it scrolling through social media instead. You're not alone, and today I'm going to share why this happens and how to deal with it. For years, I was the queen of the time management. I had all the apps, the planners, the elaborate color-coded to-do lists. I blocked my calendar meticulously. I read all the productivity books, showed up every single day and implemented every productivity hack. And yet, I was stuck. Despite all this perfect planning, I wasn't doing the deep, meaningful work that would move the needle in my business and creative life. I'd look at my beautifully organized to-do lists and feel overwhelmed instead of motivated. I'd schedule focused work blocks and then spend them scrolling on my phone, staring at a blank page and spiraling down to negativity. What I didn't understand then was that I was trying to solve a lack of energy problem with time management solutions. At the time, I was working a draining 9-to-5 job that left me emotionally depleted. My nervous system was constantly in flight or fight mode. I wasn't exercising because I felt too tired all the time. I was spiraling into negative thought patterns, anxiety about the future, and ruminations about the past. I had internal blocks and limiting beliefs that no amount of time management could address. They were ruining my life without me even realizing it. I was constantly asking myself, why can't I just do the things I plan to do? Why can't I force myself to do the things that are important to me? What's wrong with me? Why do I keep procrastinating? Most creators fail to meet their goals not because of poor time management, but because of poor energy management. When I began focusing on managing my energy instead of just my time, everything changed. I started creating consistently. I found flow states I hadn't experienced in years. I actually started having more time because I wasn't wasting it on false starts, recovery from burnout, and dealing with my negative thoughts and emotions. In today's episode, we're going to explore why traditional productivity advice often fails creative people, how to identify your unique energy patterns throughout the day and month, the difference in energy cycles between men and women, and how to work with your biology instead of against it, practical strategies for structuring your work around your natural energy rhythms, how to protect and amplify your most precious resource as a creator, your energy. If you've ever felt that there is never enough time in a day, or that you're constantly falling short on your creative potential despite your best planning efforts, this episode is for you. Let's begin. Let's explore why standard approach to managing our work and time doesn't serve us, particularly those doing meaningful creative work. The standard 40-hour, 5-day workweek wasn't designed with human creativity in mind. It emerged during the Industrial Revolution to maximize factory output, a time when workers were essentially interchangeable cogs in a larger machine. The goal was consistent, predictable production, not creative breakthroughs or meaningful work. This model persists not because it's optimal for human performance or well-being, but because it's convenient for organizational management. Just 2 days to recover from 5 days of stressful work is rarely enough, especially for creative professionals. Yet corporations continue to push this framework as a default, and many of us have internalized it as normal or necessary without ever questioning if it serves us. What particularly problematic is how this model was built around masculine energy patterns. The traditional workday assumes consistent energy levels from 9 to 5, which aligns better with typical male hormone cycles. Testosterone peaks in the morning and gradually decreases throughout the day. Women's energy, on the other hand, often follows different patterns, especially throughout the month. Yet, the standard work structure makes no allowances for these biological realities. This is why traditional productivity advice so often fails creators. Creative work is fundamentally different from routine, repetitive tasks we do in the office. It requires deep focus, mental space, and emotional resources that simply can't be sustained for 8 straight hours. Our brains weren't designed to generate novel ideas, solve complex problems, or produce meaningful work consistently for 8 hours per day, 5 days per week. When you're doing truly meaningful creative work, the kind that creates real value, you're drawing from limited cognitive and emotional resources. This isn't like mindless or repetitive work that you can push through just for a paycheck. Creative work demands your full presence and drains your energy in ways that standard management approaches don't account for. The most insidious aspect of the system is that many of us have been so thoroughly conditioned to exist within this framework that we've lost touch with our natural rhythms. Even when given freedom to create our own schedules, we often default to what we've been taught is professional or productive, ignoring the signals our body and minds are sending us about when we're truly at our best. When I quit my 9-to-5 job, I remained stuck in this framework for years. I felt immense pressure to work exactly as I did in the office and experienced guilt when I couldn't sustain it. Even though I was spending 8 hours behind my desk each day, no meaningful changes were happening in my business. Back then, I was driven by fear, anxiety, and unhelpful thoughts that consumed my energy daily, leaving no energy available to do a meaningful work. It's only when I started to question whether time management was really my problem that I realized there was something deeper I needed to address: my energy. And with what energy I was showing up every single day to do the work. Learning to recognize how to honor your own energy patterns is the first step towards breaking from this outdated model and reconnect to your own energy rhythms. When we talk about productivity, we've been conditioned to think almost exclusively about time. We meticulously track it, divide it into blocks, and try to squeeze more activities into each hour. But here is the fundamental shift I want you to consider. Time is only half the equation. Energy, your capacity to do work with quality, focus, and creativity, is equally important, if not more so. Time management is about organizing when you will do certain tasks. Energy management is about optimizing your capacity to perform those tasks effectively. You can play your day down to the minute, prepare every tool you need, create the perfect environment, and still fail to accomplish your goals if you don't have energy to execute them. I've experienced this countless times, scheduling a creative writing session during a time when my brain was foggy from fatigue, trying to create content when I spent my whole day scrolling and feeling miserable, or attempting deep strategic work after an emotionally draining meeting. When you show up to work with depleted energy, not only does everything take longer, but the quality suffers dramatically. A task that might take 1 hour when you're energized could take 3 hours when you're depleted, and the result will likely be mediocre at best. To manage energy effectively, you need to understand that it comes in 4 distinct forms. Physical energy, your body's capacity to move, focus, and stay alert. This is influenced by sleep, nutrition, exercise, and overall health. Emotional energy, your ability to handle stress, remain positive, and engage with others. This is affected by relationships, emotional regulation skills, and your overall emotional state. Mental energy, your capacity for focused thinking, problem solving, and creativity. This is impacted by mental rest, cognitive load, and brain health. Spiritual energy, your connection to purpose, meaning, and values that drive you every single day. This is influenced by alignment between your work and your deeper motivations. When any of these energy types is depleted, your overall performance suffers, even if the others are relatively full. Unlike time, which flows at a constant rate, energy naturally fluctuates throughout the day. We operate in what scientists call ultradian rhythms, roughly 90 to 120-minute cycles of high energy, followed by periods where our body and mind need recovery. Fighting against these natural rhythms is exhausting and inefficient. When you work with these rhythms, recognizing when you naturally peak and dip, you can accomplish significantly more with less effort. Perhaps one of the most overlooked aspects of energy management is how differently it can manifest between genres. Men typically experience testosterone surge in the morning, giving them a natural energy peak early in the day. This energy often gradually declines as the day progresses. Women, on the other hand, experience more complex monthly hormonal cycles that affect their energy in different ways throughout the month. During the follicular phase, after menstruation, rising estrogen often brings increased energy and creativity. The ovulatory phase might bring peak communication skills and social energy. The luteal phase can bring more detail-oriented focus before energy typically dips during menstruation. Yet, our work culture largely ignores these biological realities. We're expected to perform with the same capacity every single day, regardless of where we are in our natural cycles. This one-size-fits-all approach particularly disadvantages women who are often working against their biological rhythms. Understanding your unique energy patterns is the first step towards aligning your most important work with your highest energy periods. And that's how you achieve breakthrough productivity without burnout. Let's look at the key areas where most creators unknowingly deplete their energy, preventing them from doing their best work. Nutrition issues. Even though I often skip breakfast myself because I'm not hungry in the morning, I've learned that how you fuel your body in the first hours dramatically affects your energy throughout the day. Drinking enough water right after waking up is crucial. It jumpstarts your metabolism and hydrates your brain after hours without fluid. For the last several months, I have been drinking celery juice before coffee as well. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach is rarely a good idea. It spikes your cortisol levels immediately, which can lead to an energy crash later. Many creators ride this caffeine crash cycle all day, wondering why they feel wired but tired. High-carb meals without enough protein and healthy fats can lead to blood sugar spikes and crashes that make sustained creativity focus nearly impossible. These nutritional choices might seem minor, but they create the foundation for your energy available throughout the day. Sleep deprivation and poor recovery. This is absolutely essential. Inadequate sleep undermines everything else. If you struggle with falling asleep, preparing for sleep becomes as important as for any major project. Cut out screens at least 1 hour before bed, as blue light disturbs your melatonin production. It's also a very bad idea to have a huge dinner and drink alcohol before bed. When you eat a lot before going to bed, your digestive system remains active, making it harder to fall asleep. For alcohol, while it might help to fall asleep initially, it disrupts REM sleeping and causes more middle-of-the-night awakenings. REM sleep is the dream stage of sleep where your eyes move quickly behind your eyelids. It's when you have your most vivid dreams. This type of sleep helps your brain to sort through memories, process emotions, and solve problems. It happens several times each night, usually starting about 90 minutes before you fall asleep. When something messes with your REM sleep, like drinking alcohol before bed, you might feel tired and foggy the next day, even if you slept for a long time. I found that gentle self-care practices that relax your body and mind make a tremendous difference. Taking magnesium supplements before bed helps relax your muscles, reduce tension and cramping, calm your nervous system, making it easier to wind down. Or even better, take baths or food baths with Epsom salt, as magnesium absorbs better through your skin. My personal routine includes reading a physical book before bed instead of scrolling. This signals to my brain that it's time to wind down rather than process more information. Sedentary lifestyle. Poor physical health and pain are massive energy drains. When you're in discomfort, you simply cannot focus on creative work. Regular movement isn't just about fitness, it's about maintaining your creative instrument. This doesn't mean you need to become a fitness influencer. Find movement you actually enjoy. Walking, yoga, stretching, dancing, or whatever brings you joy. The key is consistency rather than intensity. Movement increases blood flow and oxygen to your brain, which directly impacts your cognitive function and creative capacity. Overexertion in high-energy activities. Many creators, particularly those who are passionate about physical activities like sports, dancing, or intense workouts, often deplete their physical energy stores completely throughout these activities, leaving nothing for creative work. While these activities are important for overall health, timing them appropriately is crucial. High-intensity exercise right before attempting deep creative work can leave you physically satisfied but mentally empty. Emotional energy drains. Toxic relationships, excessive social media use, and constant news exposure can silently drain your emotional energy without you even realizing it. Every negative interaction, every comparison moment on Instagram, every anxiety-producing headline takes a small withdrawal from your emotional energy bank. These micro drains accumulate throughout the day, leaving you emotionally depleted when it's time to create. Setting boundaries around these inputs is essential for protecting your creative capacity. Mental energy traps. This was the hardest lesson for me to learn. Perfectionism, overthinking, excessive planning, negative self-talk, and harsh self-judgment are massive energy vampires. For years, I wasn't even aware of how these patterns drained me. They were so normalized that I thought feeling mentally exhausted was just part of the creative process. The constant inner critic, the endless rumination, the obsessive planning instead of doing, these mental patterns made me feel miserable and depleted my energy for actual creation. Learning to use your mind as a tool rather than being controlled by it is transformative. Becoming aware of these negative patterns and bringing them to light is the first step. Grounding practices like meditation, journaling, and breath work can help you to work through these patterns and make your body feel safe enough to create freely. When you address these common energy drains, you will find you have more capacity for the creative work that actually matters without having to find more hours in the day. The first step toward energy-based productivity is becoming aware of your unique patterns. We're all different, and what works for your favorite productivity guru might not work for you. Start by mapping your energy levels throughout the day, week, and month. This doesn't need to be complicated. A simple journal entry 3 times a day for 2 weeks can reveal patterns you'll never noticed before. Ask yourself questions like, when do I naturally feel most alert and focused? When do I find myself reaching for caffeine or sugar? Are there specific days of the week when I consistently feel more or less energetic? For women, how does my energy shift throughout my monthly cycle? Pay close attention to your body's signals. Do you get a mid-afternoon slump? Are you sharper after exercise? Does a certain type of breakfast give you sustained energy while another leaves you crashing by 11 a.m.? The key is awareness without judgment. There is no right energy pattern, only your authentic rhythm. Once you've tracked for a couple of weeks, patterns will emerge about when you're naturally at your creative best. For some, it's the early morning before the world wakes up. For others, creative energy peaks in the evening when the day's responsibilities are done. When you identify these golden hours, protect them fiercely. Structure your most important creative work The tasks that require deep thinking, innovation, or artistic expression during these periods. Don't force yourself to be creative when your energy naturally dips. Instead, flow with your body's natural rhythm, and you will find yourself doing better work with less struggle. Showing up consistently for your work is important, but pushing through exhaustion and anxiety won't help you to accomplish more. Learning to recognize when your energy is waning before you hit empty is crucial. Watch for these signals: difficulty making simple decisions, increased irritability or emotional reactivity, sudden cravings for sugar, caffeine, or other quick energy sources, physical signs like shallow breathing or tension headaches, procrastination or resistance to tasks you usually enjoy, mind wandering or inability to focus, intrusive thoughts or spiraling negativity, feeling overwhelmed by normal tasks, boredom with work that usually engages you, yawning, heavy eyelids, or physical fatigue. When you notice these signs, it's time to strategic recovery period, not to push harder. When you understand your patterns, you can design your workflow around them. Women experience 4 different phases each month, each with different energy qualities. Follicular phase, days 1 to 13. As estrogen rises after your period, so does your energy, creativity, and openness to new ideas. This is the perfect time for brainstorming new projects, strategic planning, learning new skills, taking risks, and starting new initiatives. Ovulatory phase, days 14 to 16. Estrogen peaks, giving you enhanced communication abilities and social energy. Use this time for presentations and pitches, networking and collaboration, important meetings and negotiations, outreach and marketing tasks. Luteal phase, days 17 to 28. As progesterone rises, you may notice increased attention to details, but decreased social energy. This phase is ideal for detail editing and refinement, administrative tasks, analysis and research, completing projects rather than starting new ones. And menstrual phase, days 1 to 5. Energy is typically lowest, but intuition is increased. This time is perfect for reflection and evaluation, setting intentions for the next cycle, rest and recovery, intuitive work, and inner listening. Rather than creating a rigid schedule based solely on time, build flexibility around your energy levels. Create 3 different templates for high, medium, and low energy days. Batch similar tasks together to minimize context switching. Schedule recovery periods between intense work sessions. Reserve administrative or routine tasks for your natural energy dips. Build in buffer time for unexpected energy fluctuations. This approach acknowledges that you are not a machine with consistent output. You're a human with fluctuating energy. And when you honor those fluctuations, your productivity actually improves. With these awareness practices and scheduling techniques, you will find yourself accomplishing more meaningful work while feeling less depleted at the end of each day. Now that we understand our energy patterns, let's explore practical strategies to optimize, preserve, and protect our energy across all dimensions. Physical energy optimization. Your physical body is the foundation of all creative work. When it's depleted, everything else suffers. Nutrition for sustained energy. Start your day with protein or healthy fats instead of just carbs and sugar to avoid blood sugar crashes. Stay hydrated. Even mild dehydration can reduce cognitive function by up to 20%. Consider smaller, more frequent meals if you notice afternoon energy dips. Minimize processed foods and sugar, which create energy spikes followed by crashes. Pay attention to how different foods affect you, particularly your body. We're all different. Strategic movement. Short movement breaks, even 5 to 10 minutes, can reset your energy when you hit a slump. Morning movement helps regulate your circadian rhythm for better energy all day. Nature walks provide both movement and mental restoration. Strength training builds resilience and long-term energy capacity. Gentle practices like yoga or Tai Chi can be energizing as well. Sleep optimization. Consistent sleep and wake times regulate your energy rhythms. Create a wind-down routine that signals to your body it's time to rest. Keep your sleeping environment cool, dark, and free from electronic distractions. Consider sleep as productive time. It's when your creative ideas consolidate. 4 hours of deep sleep beats 8 hours of disturbed sleep. Nervous system regulation. Regular breath work helps switch from fight or flight to rest and digest mode. Body scanning practices increase awareness of tension you may be holding in your body. Grounding techniques like feeling your feet on the floor can quickly reset your system. Cold exposure, like ending showers with cold water, can build stress resilience. Meditation, even just 5 or 10 minutes daily, trains your nervous system to return to calm. Mental energy preservation. Your mental energy is your most precious resource as a creator. Protect it fiercely. Deep work practices. Block 90 minutes uninterrupted sessions for your most important creative work. Create a starting ritual that signals to your brain it's time to focus deeply. Remove all distractions during deep work periods. Notifications are creativity killers. Use a Pomodoro technique, 25 minutes focused, 5 minutes rest. If 90 minutes feels daunting, and deep work sessions with a clear stopping point so your mind can properly recharge. Task batching and context management. Group similar tasks together to minimize mental switching costs. Schedule administrative work during your natural energy dips. Create separate environments for different types of work if possible. Use context cues like practical playlists for different work modes. Batch meetings into specific days or time blocks to preserve creative flow days. Cognitive load management. Capture ideas immediately in a trusted system so your mind doesn't waste energy remembering. Create templates for creative tasks to reduce decision fatigue. Use checklists for complex processes to free up mental bandwidth. Schedule thinking time, not just doing time, in your calendar. Practice strategic incompleteness, intentionally leaving certain areas for a later focus if you feel tired. Emotional energy protection. Your emotional state directly impacts your creative capacity. Boundary setting. Learn to say no to opportunities that don't align with your priorities. Create communication boundaries, specific times for emails and messages. Set clear expectations with clients and collaborators about your abilities. Develop scripts for protecting your creative time without guilt. Remember that every yes is a no to something else. Choose consciously. Community support. Cultivate relationships with people who energize rather than drain you. Share struggles with selected peers who understand creative challenges. Consider co-working, virtually or in person, for accountability without energy drains. Seek mentors who have mastered energy management in your field. Create regular connection points with people who remind you of your purpose. Internal emotional management. Practice self-compassion when you hit energy lows. They're normal, not failure. Develop awareness of your emotional triggers that lead to energy depletion. Create a reset ritual for when emotions threaten to derail your creative process. Journal about emotional patterns to gain insights into recurring energy drains. Celebrate small wins to generate positive emotional momentum. Spiritual energy cultivation. This often overlooked dimension connects you to your deepest purpose and meaning. Regularly connect with why your creative work matters. Spend time in activities that remind you of your core values. Create space for wonder, curiosity, and inspiration. Connect daily tasks to your bigger mission. Practice gratitude for the opportunity to create. By tending to all these dimensions of energy, you create a sustainable creative practice that doesn't depend on willpower or pushing through depletion. Instead, you work with your natural rhythms, honoring the reality that creative work requires a fully energized human being, not just managed time blocks or a calendar. We've explored why traditional time management often fails creators, not because the techniques are flawed, but because they address only half the equation. We've discovered how our energy fluctuates naturally throughout the day and month, especially the important difference between masculine and feminine energy patterns. We've identified the common energy drains that sabotage our creative efforts and explored practical strategy for protecting and amplifying our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual energy. Remember, your energy is not just your time, it's your most valuable resource as a creator. Understanding your unique energy patterns is the foundation of sustainable productivity. Different types of work require different types of energy. Align them intentionally. For women especially, working with your monthly cycles rather than against them can transform your creative output. Small changes in how you manage your energy can yield massive improvements in both the quality and quantity of your creative work. Remember this fundamental truth: time is fixed, but energy can be expanded. We all have the same 24 hours, but how much energy we bring to those hours makes all the difference in what we create and how we feel while creating. If you take just one action from today's episode, let it be this: start tracking your energy patterns. Simply notice when you naturally feel most focused, creative, and alive, and when you feel depleted. Keep a simple note in your phone or journal 3 times a day for the next week, rating your energy from 1 to 10 and noting what might be affecting it. This awareness alone will reveal patterns you can use to restructure your creative life. The most liberating realization in my own creative journey was that I wasn't lazy, unmotivated, or lacking discipline when I couldn't create on schedule. I was simply trying to create against my natural energy flows. When I aligned my most important work with my highest energy periods and honored my need for recovery, everything changed. You don't need more time, you need more energy in the time you already have. And that begins with understanding yourself as a cyclical, dynamic creator rather than a productivity machine. Honor your energy and your creativity will thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Until the next time. Bye.